I've been continuing this sermon series on the kings of Israel and seeing again and again, while there's lots of really wonderful examples of people being faithful to God, really no one is really worthy of our ultimate trust. Psalm 146 says, "Put not your trust in princes or a son of man in whom there is no salvation." Our trust belongs to God. And again, we see that played out in the Old Testament with the kings of Israel and then later Judah. And these characters, these people from history, they're complicated. Some are really good, some are really awful, some more nuanced in between. And the Lord is working through all of them. But even very good people are flawed and failing. We're going to look at one of those today, Hezekiah. He is a great king, maybe the most upstanding king in Judah's history, perhaps even more upstanding than David. And still, he didn't deliver salvation for his people. We're just going to look at him and see some of the lessons we can learn from his reign. I'm reading from 2 Kings chapter 18, beginning in verse 1. In the third year of Hoshea, son of Elah, king of Israel, Hezekiah, the son of Ahaz, king of Judah, began to reign. He was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Abi, the daughter of Zechariah, and he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, according to all that David his father had done. He removed the high places and broke the pillars and cut down the Asherah. He broke in pieces the bronze serpent that Moses had made, for until those days the people of Israel had made offerings to it. It was called Nehushtan. He trusted in the Lord, the God of Israel, so that there was none like him among all the kings of Judah after him, nor among those who were before him. For he held fast to the Lord. He did not depart from following him, but kept the commandments that the Lord commanded Moses. And the Lord was with him wherever he went out, he prospered. That's Hezekiah. A lot to admire in him. And he, in his practice, in his religious practice, he showed us something where we often go off the rails. It's that we don't trust God, but we trust our religious practice. Hezekiah is able to distinguish between those two. He understands that his trust needs to be fundamentally in the person of God, not in his own strength, not in his religious practice either. And that's an important nuance, and that's what we see here in this scene. He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord. He cut down the Asherah pole that was dedicated to a foreign god, but he also removed the high places. He not only stamped out idolatry, but he removed something that we see often in the Old Testament scriptures, this reference to the high places. What are those things? Well, before the temple was built and there was a central place of worship, where did people make their sacrifices? Well, they would create these DIY altars on the top of a high place, maybe with the idea that it's closer to God, and make their sacrifices there. But once the temple was built, it was to become a place of pilgrimage and make your sacrifices there. But highly inconvenient for a lot of people. And so, they continued to sacrifice in those high places. And some might say, you have your way of worshiping the Lord, and I have my way. And he said, no, we do it the Lord's way. Not in our historical practices, but we need to honor the person, not our heritage. And sometimes historical practices get in the way of that, and what gets mentioned here is the bronze snake. Maybe you're familiar with that, but he talks about how he broke the pieces of the bronze snake in verse 4 because the Israelites were beginning to offer sacrifices to it. They were beginning to worship it. And you might think, well, wait a second. God commanded the fashioning of this snake. Isn't it a good thing? We see that in Numbers 21:8. And the Lord said to Moses, make a fiery serpent and set it on a pole, and everyone who was bitten, people were being disciplined when they were grumbling in their wandering in the desert, and poisonous snakes came and bit them, and God provides this way for them to be healed. Make this fiery serpent, and when they look at it, when he sees it, he shall live. They'll be healed. This good thing, though, that the people began to treat as an idol, worshiping the thing itself instead of the healer that it represented. So Hezekiah destroyed it in hopes of pointing people to the real thing. And this happens a lot. We get lost in our religiosity, in our religious practice, our traditions, our patterns. We begin to trust our discipline or our habit. We begin to trust the sound of a piano or a drum or a cross on the wall, and we miss God himself. A good question for all of us would be, do we love the way a song makes us feel, or do we love the God to whom we sing? Hezekiah got this right. He trusted the Lord and tried to point people back to the Lord. He failed in other ways. It's in another part of that scripture. But today, I want you to think about, are you looking to the Lord, or are you looking to your religious practice, to the way worship makes you feel? Or will you instead worship the God who brings healing? Think about it this week. Blessings on you all.